Good morning. I don't know how many of you were at Art Prize this past few weeks, and I was there, and I saw another blonde across the Grand River, and I waved to her and I said, hey, how do you get to the other side of the river? And she looked at me and she yelled back, she said, you're already there. So here I am with paper. I started my career receiving a Bachelor of Science degree in environmental science. When I first arrived at Grand Valley, these were the issues that were in the news during my beginning years here. One of our Great Lakes was pronounced dead. Electric utilities encouraged us to use as much energy as possible. Eagle populations were declining. There was a massive oil spill in California following their beaches and wildlife. PCBs, DDT, and mercury were found in Great Lakes fish. A river caught fire in Cleveland. Toxic waste sites, such as the Valley of Drums in Kentucky, were discovered. Photographs of the Earth were being sent to us from spacecrafts. The first Earth Days were held. Nixon declared the 70s the environmental decade. Ecology became a household word. Since then, some things have changed, and some things haven't. Electric utilities now encourage us to conserve energy. Eagle populations are rebounding. Earth Day remains an annual event. The Ohio River is not on fire. The number of toxic waste sites are slowly dwindling. Our Great Lakes are still in trouble. Oil spills persist. And sustainability is not a household word. I've been professionally engaged in the environmental field and have been working in sustainability for several years in one way or another. I feel I paid some dues and I've learned some lessons along the way, and I appreciate this opportunity to survey my career for 7 revelations that I share with you this morning, and I hope they will provide you with some ideas. Revelation number 1. Sustainability involves our backyard. Before even thinking about having something called a career, I splashed in the Grand River, climbed apple trees, explored the forests in a park, collected Petoskey stones, planted and harvested green beans, tumbled into cold streams and thawed out in front of a campfire, flew down sand dunes, fished for bluegills, made art from autumn leaves, slid down the Richmond Park Hill and felt the sting of ice crystals against my cheek, made dandelion bouquets for my mother, picked cherries, blueberries, and strawberries, and stole eggs from an unsuspecting chicken. These adventures allowed me to experience the outdoors and connect me to a place that became home. Often they were shared adventures and social experiences, connecting me to my family, to my friends, and to my neighbors. As an adult, I've traveled, and the outdoors always allowed me to connect to that place, whether it was in a national park or in a city playground. Whatever brings me in contact with the outdoors connects me and makes me feel alive, and I mark the changes in my life by the changes I see in these places. For most of us, sustainability is not about the bigger world, it's about our backyard and our neighborhood. It's about where we live, where we work, where we go to school. It's more about the little here and not necessarily about the big out there. This is one of the reasons I chose this career. Revelation number 2, we need role models for sustainability. My first role model was my dad, a rebel. As a child, he frequently ran away from home and spent his runaway time, often days, exploring the mountains of West Virginia. As a single parent, he never hesitated on the spur of a moment to pile his 7 kids, in an old station wagon and take us on outdoor adventures. Sometimes all he did was throw a blanket in an empty field and we slept under the stars listening to whippoorwills. An inventor, an explorer, an ecologist, a scientist, and a pioneer. I was a devoted fan and an avid viewer of the undersea world of Jacques Cousteau. Without even a color TV at the time, let alone high-definition images, I marveled at the ocean world he revealed to us and his passion to protect this world. The reason I chose the environmental science program at Grand Valley was the hope that someday I would join Captain Cousteau and sail in the Calypso. Having these role models in my life was an important part of what drives me today. We tend to watch others and what they are doing to figure out what the right thing to do is. Information may be power, and we're supplied with messages that promote 1,001 things you can do to protect the world and make it a better place. But information, this information alone, does not inspire people to change. We can be nudged when we see those around us, our family, our friends, our neighbors, role models, even the people here in this audience, demonstrating the behavior we'd like to be emulating. Revelation number 3, sustainability is handicapped by complexity. From college classes, which were the foundation for my career, I learned how to distinguish ferns on the basis of their microscopic spores. I learned how to describe the color, structure, texture, and parent material of soil. I performed calculations to predict the outcome of a chemical reaction. I classified different theories on how cultures developed, learned how the origin of words came to be in our language. I could at the time differentiate the characteristics of a human jaw from a primate jaw. I could diagram positive and negative feedback loops and nonlinear systems, argue the advantages of conservation over preservation policies, characterize the historic significance of the Storm King Mountain court case, explain different communication models. I ended up knowing a little bit about a lot of different things. At the same time, the whole concept of sustainability has become a tangle of environmental, economic, and social facts, history, science, vocabulary, philosophy, policies, laws, and so on. To function as a well-informed citizen in this country, we also need to know a little bit about a lot of different topics. Unfortunately, there is an avalanche of information about a mind-boggling array of topics, from choosing healthcare options to responding to a check engine light, let alone knowing how to apply sustainability in our daily life. Revelation number 4, words shape the way we think about sustainability. In my career, I had to know that a chemical is not a chemical. It is either a hazardous chemical, hazardous material, a hazardous substance, an extremely hazardous substance, a toxic substance, a toxic chemical, a toxic release, an ozone-depleting substance, a volatile organic compound, or a persistent bioaccumulative toxic compound, and there's still more. A waste is not a waste. It is either a solid waste or a hazardous waste, a characteristic hazardous waste, an ignitable hazardous waste, a corrosive hazardous waste, a listed hazardous waste, hazardous debris, hazardous household hazardous waste, or a universal waste. These are the words of my career that few understand. However, all of these terms mean something very specifically defined. In contrast, the words that seem to be representing sustainability today have gone green, like green chemistry, green electricity, green buildings, green investment, greening the supply chain, greening technology, greening industry, green cosmetics, green campuses, green events, green offices, green footprints, green gifts, green restaurants. You get the picture. This green momentum is only the tip of a green iceberg. What does it all mean? Are we asking people to go out and choose green to be sustainable? How long will green be an acceptable adjective for sustainability? How will these words shape our view of sustainability? Will we get tired of green? Revelation 5. Sometimes what we have to do, we do it. Each day from the moment I get up in the morning to the time I go to bed, I live in a world that functions in accordance with both the laws of nature and the laws of our communities. These laws make things happen. The passage and implementation of environmental regulations had a profound impact on the direction of my career. In 1970, there were 500 pages in the Code of Federal Regulations dealing with environmental issues. Today is well over 15,000 pages. Instead of sailing on the Calypso, I was reading pages and pages of federal and state environmental regulations on such exciting topics as manifest discrepancies, secondary containment, stationary sources, best available technology economically achievable, threshold planning quantities, conditionally exempt small quantity generator. These regulatory programs were established to protect our health and environmental quality. The actions needed to accomplish these objectives were not voluntary. In spite of the intense challenges of implementing these requirements, much progress has been achieved, yet much remains to be done. The pursuit of sustainability has been a voluntary force to restore the integrity of the environment in our communities. It has put business and other entities in charge of their sustainable futures. Revelation number 6. Everyone wants to be sustainable, to make a sustainable difference. Everyone is still learning how. I've worked with a variety of organizations. Each of these organizations is working on sustainability in some way. I've worked for city government, for a regional planning commission, for an environmental consulting firm, for a global manufacturer, for a nonprofit environmental organization, and I do research projects here at the university. I'm also a partner in a small business, and I understand the challenges of juggling the triple bottom line. In their own way, many of these and other organizations care about doing the right thing and want the opportunity to contribute to a sustainable community rather than to undermine that community. Many such organizations see themselves as part of the solution and not as part of the problem. However, not every effort on sustainability will be perfect. Not every idea that promotes sustainability is worth doing. Many of these issues that these organizations champion are often lumped together under the flag of sustainability, hoping to cast their organization in a positive light. Sometimes sustainability programs are also limited by the information that's currently available, as well as by fiscal, resource, and time constraints. Sustainability has its risks, ask BP Petroleum, and has proven to be more complicated than anyone has expected. Revelation number 7. As Groucho Marx noted, "Why should I care about future generations? What have they ever done for me?" The community we live in today was shaped by the decisions of the generations who came before us. The community that future generations will inherit will reflect the decisions that we make today. It has been observed that every living organism is on its way to becoming. Nothing is complete, all is in flux, and the only thing that counts is the direction that we take. As a community, we have changed and we are changing. Historically, the seeds of our interest in sustainability often reflect past mistakes and lessons learned. For example, it was once believed that the logging of Michigan's forests could go on indefinitely without consequence. The past is a reference point for the future. We are all ancestors in training. For those who new careers in sustainability are just starting, more than anything, especially today, sustainability will require your persistence, your patience, and your wisdom, and time. Wendell Berry wrote that we cannot yet imagine what a real alternative to our present way of life will look like. In your time, examples will begin to take shape. Thank you.